It ain't what the governor has been out here saying, and people going into there immediately after trying to convince them that everything was all right when everything is not all right. And guess what, America? They do it to the citizens in East Palestine. They come into a neighborhood near you to neglect people in this way, knowing that we need air, we need clean air, clean water, clean food. Everybody needs that, no matter how you identify. The ecosystem needs that. We got life, wildlife depending on human beings to do the right thing. And we monk it up almost every single time. So here's the latest from the chemical pollution researchers. A plan to test for toxic dioxins near the site of a February train wreck in East Palestine, Ohio is flawed and unlikely to find the dangerous substance. We knew that. Remember, initial soil testing already revealed dioxin levels hundreds of times above the acceptable threshold. Remember that? This headline right here. The company testing air in East Palestine homes was hired by the devil themselves, Norfolk Southern. Experts say the testing isn't enough. It's like asking the wolf or the fox to watch the hen house. That's what's happening in this case, Mayor. No doubt about it. Your thoughts?
Listen, I was literally sitting here thinking they got foxes at the hen house, and that's not. And we say that, and we're not laughing about this issue because we know how important it is. What we should also talk about is the fact that this disregard for people and human life over profit is absolutely disgusting, and the fact that the EPA had to be forced to even do these tests for dioxins. Now they're allowing Norfolk Southern to test it themselves, or hire a contractor that's testing it, and they're doing these shortcomings is absolutely disgusting because we know so much more is required. And testing by where you see ash is absolutely disgusting. And it's also not adequate. There's been rain, there's been snow, all of that washes away ash. We need to do real testing on this before people start dying from all types of cancers, and East Palestine become a cancer cluster that we can't control and bring back people's lives. So it's absolutely disgusting when we see this, especially when we know you should be testing food. We absolutely know you need to go beyond the limits that they've set, 2 miles away from where the train accident happened. We know it lives in the atmosphere and it can travel up to 20 miles. This is disgusting and also a blatant disregard for human life over corporate profit.
Yeah, it is, and they keep proving it time and time again. And while mainstream media, they've moved on, we here on Unbossed and the TYT network, we're gonna keep talking about this. Fish have died. Wildlife is dying, and that is one of the strongest signs that we can have that something needs to change. Residents are reporting rashes and burns and all kinds of things happening to them on a regular basis and still crying out for some help, and they are not getting it. Now, the agency's response to the crash has drawn intense criticism, as well it should. Let me remind you all that I had a chance to go down to East Palestine and talk to some of the folks there. The struggle, the anger, and the fear is real, and it is justified. Residents say the town has failed to protect, that they're not being protected by levels of government that should be protecting them, particularly the state and federal level of government. After resisting calls for weeks to test for dioxins, now dioxins are highly persistent and can accumulate and stay for years in the environment and in the human body. Dioxins are linked to some of the issues that the mayor just laid out. We got cancer, diabetes, heart disease, nervous system disorders, other serious health problems. And for a long time, for years to come, they may not be able to put a real finger on the impact that this is having on those folks. And that's why it's important to have a short-term goal to give them relief and a long-term goal to give them relief. And long-term may be 100 years from now, but that's long-term. The plan also limits testing to 2 miles around the site. That's not enough. But ash has been reported as far as 20 miles away, a point that the mayor was making. And dioxins are known to move long distances through the atmosphere. Duh. The controlled burn occurred about 6 weeks ago, and experts say most of its ash will have been blown away or washed away by precipitation, by water, by rain, by snow. Geniuses, do you understand that? None of this makes any sense whatsoever. The plan also limits testing to the soil, but you truly don't want to get to the truth. You're being exposed. Humans are exposed via contaminated meat and eggs and milk and farm products. A toxicologist with the Center for Health and Environmental Justice stated the following: I'm very leery because if testing is done by a visual inspection, then they probably will not find anything and will have no reason to do more testing. I'm not saying Norfolk Southern's consultants are going to purposefully do a poor job, but if this data is going to be trusted by the community, then the EPA needs to take over and do the work. In other words, the EPA needs to do its damn job and protect the citizens of East Palestine. Because if they're not protected, then the residents of Flint, Michigan are not protected. If they're not protected, the residents of Jackson, Mississippi are not protected. If they're not protected, then the residents of Cleveland, Ohio are not protected, etc., etc., etc. I'm gonna tell you something, America, we should not let this go. It's a failure of epic proportions by the state and the federal government.